All right, everyone. It's a Friday night and it's a onesies kind of night. And I was like, what do I feel like cooking today? So I decided to do a quick lasagna. Yes, that's what we do on Friday nights, right? Anyway, so don't mind me my onesie. It's Friday night and I am cooling and relaxing. Okay? All right. But anyway, so I already started boiling the water. Good thing I haven't really done anything really yet, so you're gonna get to see. But I'll show you what I've been doing. I actually started boiling my water, salted water, which I'm gonna show you in a minute, and then I'm gonna show you what I do next. All right, stay tuned. Welcome. All right, as you see, my pot is here boiling. In here, I have salt and I have water, and I taste the water. I salt the water to taste, so that when I put these in there, they're gonna cook with some flavor before I even do anything else to it, okay? And one thing I haven't done in here yet is put a little bit of olive oil. All right, so I am going to put just a couple drops of olive oil in here, and that's just to help prevent this from sticking. Okay, and this is lasagna shells, or lasagna noodles as I like to call it. And so what I normally do before I get started is I normally measure out what I want it to look like in the pan. So what I did was just to see how much I would need, because you know these things are going to spread, right? So my bottom layer is going to have 3. Once these swell out from cooking, it's going to take up the entire bottom there. So I have bottom layer 3, middle layer 3, and top layer 3. So I have 9 shells that I'm about to go ahead and cook. And then I put them in, you know, one by one. The water's already boiling. No real system to it other than putting it in on its own merit as much as possible. When I say its own merit, on its own side. Give it its own room to do what it does best. Yeah. And then once it starts going down into the water, I'm going to just take the spoon and just stir it up. Make sure it's all on the water. Yeah. Okay, yep, see they're going down already. All right, you see how far it's gotten down there, so I'm just gonna, bring it around a while. Just, not a while, but just enough to just make sure that it stays under the water. It's not all fully, it's going down. There's still a little bit to go, but at least getting it in the water is gonna speed that along. All right, and while I'm waiting for this to finish, I'm just waiting for it to have like a translucent color, maybe around 5 to 8 minutes, depending. But anyway, I go everything by sight mostly, so when it gets a little bit translucent, then I'll take it out. And in the meantime, it's time to prepare the other dish. All right, now I mentioned to you before that I normally cut up all of my my herbs, like my scallion green peppers, the tomato, onion, garlic, all of those things, and I put them in the freezer. So that's what we have here. And so I'm going to put this one, the smaller bag, I'm going to put this in the pot as well as some of this one. All right, so you see I have this in there. I'm just going to I added some already, but I'm just going to add a little of water. And then put the stove on. Let me get a spoon for this side. Turn the stove on now. Let me get a spoon for this side. Still a bit frozen. And then I'll go from there. Alright, if you've been watching my A La Arvy sessions on YouTube for a while, you know that when I'm doing ground turkey, I take that white paper thing on the bottom off and I soak it in lemon juice. If you don't have real lemons, then you use the lemon juice from the store. So that's soaking and preparing itself for what I'm going to do next. Then, of course, I have some shredded cheese, and I said this is a quick lasagna. So today's cheese is going to be the 4 cheese. Of course, I have my A La Arvy seasoning, and then I'm going to have my my spray that I'm going to spray in the bottom here when it's time to start to put it together for the oven. Okay, all right. And how can I forget? I call it veggie lasagna. So this is the turnip greens, fresh turnip greens, but I froze them. So this is what I'm going to be using as well. All right, so this is what the pasta, what I call the lasagna pasta, lasagna noodles, this is what it should look like. before you take it off, okay? So I'm about to turn the stove off and I'll show you what I do next. All right, so this is finished cooking. I poured off the hot water and poured on some cold water, and I'm gonna let that stay there for a second while I get the rest of things together and put them all together, okay? But as you can see here, it's boiling. It's boiling, so it's how I want it to look, and excuse the fog. And so now I'm going to put the turnip greens in here and cover this pot so it can cook a little bit before I add the other items. Okay, I've added the turnip greens, so now I am going to cover this pot, give it a chance to defrost and cook before I do the next step. All right, while I'm waiting for the turnip greens to do some cooking, I'm just here cutting up this ground turkey a little bit, so you can hear it. It's still a little bit frozen, and then I'm gonna pour off some of that excess lemon juice that I got poured all over it. I'll pour that out, and then I'm gonna show you what happens next after this green pot is ready. All right, this is still cooking and needs to cook some more. When it gets to like the color of these set over here, see they're still bright green. I need them to cook in some more before I do what's coming up next. And I haven't put any seasoning or anything in here either, just the herbs that I already showed you. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna do a little bit of seasoning of this before I put this in there. So of course, you know, you're gonna have to have some A La Arvy seasoning in here. Oops, a little much, but it'll be fine because I like Arvy Seasoning. It's gonna do what it do. Just have to make sure that when I add the other stuff, I, you know, measure accordingly. Just some black pepper. All right, I'm gonna stir this up. Stop moving around. I need both hands. I'll be back. All right, next is to add a tablespoon or so of Sofrito and put that in there. Next up is to add some homemade hot sauce. All right, let me stir everything up. All right, it's time to go ahead and add this. And by the way, I've already poured off the excess lemon juice. I forgot to mention that. All right, so I need both hands. I'm gonna put this in there. All right, it's been added. Now it's time to stir this up and then let this cook. All right, I've stirred it up. So now I'm gonna cover it and let that turkey cook properly. And then I'll show you what's next. All right, while I'm waiting for this turkey to finish cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and spray the bottom of this pan and the sides, just to make sure. And that's just regular vegetable oil, by the way. I know I mentioned it before. And of course, then now you gotta put the pasta, the first layer of pasta I'm gonna put down there, okay? But I'm going to use let's put this on the side here. I'm going to use the thongs. I'm going to see how it's going to take up the whole thing. See what I mean? Have some come up to the side. Perfect. So now I'm going to put the other two down. Okay, so I put that in here and I overlapped them a little bit because the bottom of the pan is not as wide as my other pan. But anyway, this is how it needs to be and this is perfect. So next is to put some cheese, some shredded cheese on the bottom here on the base, okay? All right, well that turkey is already finished cooking. So I'm going to taste it, make sure it is seasoned the way I want it to be seasoned. And then up next, I'm actually gonna go ahead and add in some tomato, basil, and garlic pasta sauce, okay? All right, adding in this and then I'm gonna stir. Okay, so I let this simmer for a little while, and this is the finished product. I just turned the stove off. I'm gonna cover it and just let it thing, and I tasted it, and it has the flavors that I want. So now I mentioned earlier about putting some cheese on here. I hadn't done it yet, so I'm getting ready to do that now. Cover this down a little bit and then get to setting it up. All right, so the cheese, and I mentioned that I'm using 4 cheeses, what is it, Mexican style 4 cheeses. And that's what I'm using on the lasagna tonight. So I'm just here now, sort of spreading it a bit. Make sure it's all covered, all the areas are covered. All right. Then I'm going to put some of this down, first layer, but I'm gonna let it simmer a little bit more first, and then you'll see what's next. All right, it's time to put this all together. I'm gonna turn the oven on to 350, and while that's coming up to temperature, or being preheated rather, I'm gonna go ahead and build this. So as you saw already, I put the cheese on there. Now I'm going to start scooping and put some in there and then do the different layers, and I'll show you as I go along. Okay, I've done the first veggie meat combo layer. I'm just using the back of the spoon to smoothing it out. So as you can recall, I have the pasta down, then the shredded cheese, then this combination here, then I'm gonna put some shredded cheese on top here. Okay, another layer of cheese down. Now it's time for the pasta to go on top of there. All right, the other layer of pasta noodles, as I like to call them, not pasta, as lasagna noodles, as I like to call them, is down. Now to put another layer of shredded cheese. As you can see, the other layer of cheese is down, so you know what it means. Time for another layer of meat. Well, the meat combo, as I call it. All right, that layer is down. Now another layer of cheese. All right, another layer of cheese down. So now it's time to put on the final layer of pasta. So I added the last layer of pasta. Now this is a very deep pan, so I actually could have done one more layer. Instead of doing three layers of pasta, I could have done 4, put some more meat and do a 4th one, but yeah, I'm not doing that tonight. So I'm just going to cut the sides down here, and then I'm going to cover that with cheese. All right, see, I cut off the higher edges. Now I'm going to put the cheese. All right, I added the last layer of cheese, and now I'm going to put it in the oven. So you see what it looks like on the side there. So I'm going to go ahead and bake it 350 for maybe about, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, until it's obviously melted on the top and has a little bit of a brown hint. And see, I have more meat left over, so I can do something else with that one, or even make something else, another dish. Maybe some pate. We'll see. All right, well, that is, the cheese is melted. I'm waiting for it to brown a bit. Then I'll take it out. But I got a good bit of this left, so I'll be doing something else with that. All right, everyone. Now that concludes another episode of Cooking with A La Arvy. As you can see, the lasagna came out really good. It needs to cool now before it can be eaten, before it can be cut and eaten. So hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you learned something. Hope you try it, and let me know in the comments if you do. All right, you take care and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. All right, Sparkles.